Okay, so maybe you're thinking about a career change, something where you can really make a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, get this. Today's deep dive is all about a job that's so much more than it seems on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being a homelessness worker.
Yeah, it's really something.
We're going way beyond just handing out blankets here, folks.
Right, it's way more than
We're
that.
talking about being on the front lines of social change.
Exactly, and the RoleCatcher career guide we've got for this deep dive really gets into it.
Oh, wow.
It's fascinating. They emphasize that it's not just one job.
Right.
It's like you're a social worker, a counselor, an advocate,
Wow.
even a crisis responder, all wrapped up into one.
It sounds intense. I mean, we've all seen those news segments or maybe
Yeah.
even interacted with people experiencing homelessness ourselves.
Sure.
But to really step into that world, to like build relationships and offer real support,
Yeah, it's a lot.
what kind of person thrives in that environment?
Well, you've got to be resilient, that's for sure.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher doesn't sugarcoat it at all.
Okay.
They use the phrase emotionally challenging. And when you think about the situations you'd be dealing with,
Right.
I mean, these are people at their most vulnerable, often struggling with mental health issues, addiction,
Yeah.
maybe even past trauma.
Oh, wow.
It makes sense that it takes a certain type of person.
Okay, so you're not just like finding someone a warm bed for the night.
Right.
You're tackling those deep-rooted issues that contribute to homelessness in the first place.
Exactly. And that's so important.
How do you even begin to address those?
Well, that's where the idea of a holistic approach comes in.
Okay.
And this is something RoleCatcher really emphasizes.
Got it.
It's not just one thing, right?
Right.
Think of it like this. A homelessness worker might connect someone to a shelter,
Okay.
but they're also working with social workers to secure long-term housing, maybe collaborating with mental health professionals for counseling, or even addiction specialists, if that's part of the picture. It's really about connecting people to whatever they need.
It takes a village.
It really does.
A village where everyone has like specialized knowledge and experience.
Exactly.
Which makes me wonder, how does someone even get their foot in the door of this field?
It's a good question.
It sounds like you need a mountain of qualifications.
Well, having the right education is definitely a plus. A degree in social work, psychology, or a related field
Sure.
can give you a really solid foundation.
Yeah.
But you know what really stood out to me in this guide?
What's that?
The emphasis on hands-on experience.
So it's not just about what you learn in a textbook,
Right, exactly.
but about real-world experience.
Exactly.
Makes sense. You'd need serious empathy and people skills to do this work well.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher actually gives really concrete examples of what that looks like.
Oh, cool.
They suggest internships, volunteering at shelters,
Okay.
anything to gain experience working with vulnerable populations.
Yeah.
It's all about showing, not just telling that you can handle the challenges of this job.
And speaking of challenges, I bet the interview process isn't your typical,
Oh, absolutely not.
tell me about your strengths and weaknesses kind of deal.
Totally. They have a whole section dedicated to interview prep. And the sample questions are so insightful.
Like what?
Things like, how do you build trust with someone living on the street?
Oh, wow.
Or how do you handle challenging behaviors?
Intense.
Yeah, they're really looking for a very specific skill set here.
It's more than just checking boxes on a resume.
Right,
They want to know you can handle the tough stuff,
for sure.
the emotional weight of this work.
Yeah, they're looking for empathy, problem-solving skills, and the ability to stay calm under pressure.
Right.
Those qualities are absolutely crucial when you're working with individuals who might be hesitant to trust you,
Yeah.
who might be struggling with their mental health. It's a whole different ballgame.
Okay, so you've aced that interview.
Right.
You're officially a homelessness worker.
Okay.
What's next? Do they just like hand you a map to the nearest shelter and say, right, good luck?
Not quite, thankfully.
Okay.
RoleCatcher actually breaks down the career path into different stages with like real-world examples of what you might be doing at each level.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty cool how they lay it all out.
Give me the inside scoop. What's it like for someone just starting out?
So at the entry level,
Yep.
you're doing a lot of direct service provision.
Okay.
But think of it like this.
Okay.
You're on the ground, providing those immediate necessities, food, water, maybe helping someone get into a shelter for the night. You might also be the one connecting people with essential resources like medical clinics or helping them fill out paperwork for government assistance programs.
It sounds like you're the first point of contact. That friendly face offering support in a really overwhelming situation.
Exactly.
Wow.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
You're not just thrown into the deep end.
Okay.
RoleCatcher highlights that even at the entry level, they're looking for people with a solid base of knowledge.
Right.
They gave an example of someone with a bachelor's in social work who also had certifications in mental health first aid and crisis intervention.
Okay, that makes sense. You need that training to be able to assess someone's needs and connect them with the right resources.
Exactly.
What about when you're ready to take on more responsibility, move up the ladder, so to speak?
So then you're talking about the intermediate stage. This is where you might start handling case management, working more intensely with individuals to create personalized care plans.
Okay, got it.
Think about it. You're conducting in-depth assessments, maybe delving into their mental health needs, helping them address addiction issues, or connecting them with job training programs. It's about empowering people to build a better future, not just survive the present moment.
And that level of support probably requires even more specialized training, right?
You're spot on.
Okay.
RoleCatcher uses the example of someone with a master's in social work who also had certifications in trauma-informed care and motivational interviewing. Those are skills that take time and dedication to develop.
Wow, that's impressive. So we're talking about a career path where you can continually grow your knowledge and expertise.
Yeah, for sure.
What does the view look like from the top
Yeah.
for those seasoned veterans of the field?
At the senior level, it becomes less about direct service and more about big picture impact. You might find yourself supervising other homelessness workers, developing new programs, doing community outreach, or even advocating for policy changes at a higher level.
Wow.
You're influencing systems, not just individuals.
So you're tackling the root causes of homelessness, trying to create lasting solutions that benefit entire communities.
Precisely. And RoleCatcher gives an example of someone with a doctorate in social work who also had certifications in advanced crisis intervention and program evaluation.
Wow.
They're not just working in the field. They're leading it, researching it, pushing for those systemic changes that can really move the needle on this issue.
This is blowing my mind. I had no idea. There were so many layers to this work.
Yeah.
It's not just one job. It's a whole ecosystem of dedicated individuals working at every level to create a better future for people experiencing homelessness.
It truly is. And you know what really struck me about the guide?
What's that?
Their emphasis on continuous learning. They
Yeah.
stress the importance of professional development, getting additional certifications, maybe even publishing articles or speaking at conferences to share your knowledge and inspire others.
It's like you're always evolving, always searching for more effective ways to make a difference.
Totally.
But let's be real, this isn't a walk in the park, is it?
No, not at all.
RoleCatcher doesn't shy away from the tough stuff.
You're right. They don't sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
They're very upfront about the emotional toll this kind of work can take.
Right.
Think about it. You're exposed to trauma every day, dealing with heartbreaking situations, facing limited resources and bureaucratic roadblocks.
Yeah.
It can be incredibly draining.
To carry that weight, the burden of other people's struggles,
Right.
there's got to be a way to decompress, to protect your own well-being.
You've hit on a crucial point. Self-care is non-negotiable in this field.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher actually dedicates a whole section to it,
Well,
talking about the importance of setting boundaries, finding healthy coping mechanisms, and seeking support when you need it.
right.
They even emphasize the value of supervision and peer support groups, where you can process your experiences with others who truly understand the demands of the job.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
To do this work effectively,
right.
you have to take care of yourself first.
Absolutely. You can't pour from an empty cup, right?
Right.
But here's the thing, even with the challenges, the emotional weight, the systemic frustrations, the rewards, though often unseen, can be immense.
It's like they say, you get back what you put out into the world.
That's right.
And in this line of work, the potential for positive impact is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it makes you wonder, how do you measure success in a field as complex as this?
Right.
Is it simply about getting someone into housing, or is it about something more?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And RoleCatcher doesn't offer any easy answers.
Right.
They talk about how success can look different for each individual.
Right.
For one person, it might be getting their ID so they can apply for jobs. For another, it might be reuniting with family they haven't seen in years.
Wow.
It's about meeting people where they're at and supporting them on their unique journey.
So it's not just about checking boxes or hitting quotas.
Right,
It's
yeah.
about those individual victories.
Yeah.
Those moments of hope and progress.
Exactly. And sometimes success is about shifting societal perspectives.
Okay.
It's about getting people to see beyond the stereotypes,
Right.
to recognize the humanity in everyone, regardless of their housing situation.
And that's where advocacy comes in, right?
Yeah,
Because to truly make a dent in this issue,
totally.
you need systemic change, not just individual acts of kindness.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher highlights how homelessness workers are often on the front lines of those advocacy efforts.
Yeah.
They're the ones seeing the gaps in services,
Right.
the policies that aren't working,
Right.
the ways in which our systems are failing the most vulnerable.
Which reminds me of something we haven't touched on yet.
Hmm.
Technology. I'm curious to know, in this age of apps for everything, is there a role for technology to play in addressing homelessness?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
And it's something RoleCatcher addresses directly.
Okay.
They say that so far, technology has had a limited impact in this field. And
Yeah.
I can see why
Yeah.
so much of this work is about building trust, forging human connections,
Right, yeah.
understanding the nuances of each individual's situation.
Right, right.
You can't really automate empathy, can you?
Definitely not. But I still wonder, could technology be used more effectively to support the work that homelessness workers do? Could it help streamline processes, improve access to resources,
Right.
maybe even bridge the gap between people in need and the services designed to help them?
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really interesting. Okay.
RoleCatcher doesn't delve into specific tech solutions,
Okay.
but they leave us with this provocative thought. What if technology could be used to empower individuals experiencing homelessness?
What if, instead of being seen as victims, they were seen as active participants in their own recovery, equipped with the tools to navigate a complex system and advocate for their own needs?
Exactly. Imagine an app, for example,
Yeah.
that helps people find nearby shelters, food banks, free clinics, even legal aid services.
Wow.
Or a platform that connects them with potential landlords who are open to working with individuals experiencing homelessness.
It's like putting a digital lifeline right in their hands,
Right.
giving them access to information and resources that can help them regain stability and build a better future.
Precisely.
Mm.
And I think that's what makes this deep dive so compelling.
We've gone beyond the job description, beyond the day-to-day realities,
Right.
and started to envision a future where technology and human compassion work hand in hand to create a more just and equitable world.
I love that vision.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder that even in the face of complex social challenges, there's always room for innovation, for creative problem solving,
Right.
for that unwavering belief that we can build a better future together.
And who knows, maybe one of our listeners will be the one to develop that game-changing app,
Yeah.
to launch that innovative program, to spark that conversation that leads to real, lasting change.
Now that's a call to action. So to all our listeners out there, if you're feeling inspired, if you're ready to make a difference, head over to our website.
Yes.
We'll have links to resources mentioned in this episode,
Mhm.
organizations doing incredible work in this field, and tips on how you can get involved in your own community. Remember, even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect.
Absolutely. And never underestimate the power of your own voice.
Right.
Advocate for change, challenge the status quo, and let's work together to create a world where everyone has a safe and stable place to call home.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's a wrap on today's deep dive into the world of a homelessness worker.
It really is.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those hearts open.